I'm more depleted than I would like to be. I had to do a lot of teleportation spells. We are in a room, apparently in Gilbrain somewhere, and we've been experimenting with this blue wall that has been showing us different parts of the Owlwood, and of course, my brother has just walked through it, and I have no idea where he is, but I guess I will go follow him. Filnyr, let's go. Time for Dungeon Dads.
Heroes rise! Heroes fall! I see them on the front line, standing tall. They're risking life and limb to answer the call. But what they fighting for? Don't know, don't care. Just along for the ride, but everyone must end. I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna win inside.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the podcast. You're listening to the Dungeon Dads podcast. Every war must end. As always, I'm your DM, Tom Blaylock, and I am joined today in the flesh, in person, from Richardson, Texas, across the street from the University of Texas at Dallas.
Who is in no way affiliated with this podcast.
No way affiliated with this. I understand
not a sponsor.
I understand it's a very fine school, and they have an excellent disc golf team. I'm joined by Tim Carr, playing the Warlock Filnyr Omajira. What's up, Tim?
I am just, around the corner of a table from you, and this is
so cool.
Still awesome.
It's so cool. Sam Frank, playing Schnobik the Bastard, a Eldritch Knight with a heart of fuck off.
Tom, you should know we only have two sponsors for this podcast. Topo Chico and the Proust Estate.
Brought to you by the people who represent Marcel Proust, and the reason why I don't think there's any movies that are English language that are made for the Proust. There was a
Sounds like it's prime podcast territory.
Save it for the bonus.
Time regained, the audio drama.
audio drama. It will be even better than My Dinner with Andre, and just as funny. And I saw everything, right? No, John Watson
Do not
playing
forget me.
Ionus
Don't you dare.
Silhavine.
Don't you dare forget me.
How's it going, John?
I'm doing all right, man. This is some good stuff.
Episode 68.
68.
We're
Almost heaven.
Yeah.
Initiative is getting rolled, and we're about to do some things.
Oh, right. I got to roll
I know.
some initiative.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're going to do that. I'm not going to, I tell you what I'm going to do. If you forgot last time, Schnobik the Bastard left this room after they figured out the at least a little bit of the riddle of the teleportation circle where they were deep underground. They end up in a ruin of an old antechamber that has all these messed up additions, right? So we've got the Illithid style Lightwell approach of seeing, scrying, and sort of looking around the battlefield, which is kind of cool. And then we also have the furry based animal scry.
It makes us feel as if all the animals are actually like robotic puppets.
I mean, it's sort of wild, and I will say that like Felipe Bandama had not seen this thing before. And we will get to some of this later.
Well, and you can listen to our bonus episode for some meta theory crafting.
man.
Wow.
What's
That is-
going on?
That is a good one.
If you missed it, they think they have figured out everything about this story, and I'm so all about it. I love it. It gave me a lot of really good ideas on how to make this not like Lost. So I'm like, I don't know. What do you think the secret of this island is? Oh, interesting. Maybe you're right. Maybe you're not right. But they have come in the middle. They're in the middle of a super distant two fronts here it looks like the battle has not really gone underway, but they have definitely been firing back and forth at huge distance. And I gave some numbers last time. I think I'm going to be correct on this. The archers that kind of came out, they're only shooting about 750 feet, which is still way longer than the normal longbowmen in D&D shoot. But they're separated. The two front lines are separated roughly by about 1,000 feet from forest to forest. But there are these pieces of wall that stretch around the open field that you will soon find out is the old wall of the castle that was the
palace that Felipe talked about.
Yeah, Felipe's palace. So you're sort of in the middle of what was once a stronghold of the Owlwood, and so they're using this as cover, and it's a bit like trench warfare. They're dug in a little bit, and
I just had an epiphany, and I don't know if I should share it or save it.
Okay, tell me.
This is like Waverly's invisible tower that we're in. We pop out in the middle of a field, and it's like, whoop.
Hey.
You're just there out of nowhere. It was surrounded by some mysterious blue light. Obviously, we had our scrying orbs from inside. It feels very much like it's camouflaged.
Oh, man.
It does feel like that. It does feel like that.
And if we're inside the walls of the palace, as you have just explained,
maybe so. I like your version better than my version.
Guess what? Now it's Tom's version.
Now it's my version. But Schnobik just decides he's gonna say fuck all, walks out of your hidey hole that you were in, which I was more than happy to let you get a rest in. And it's fine. It's fine. You don't need one. John has all his first level spells.
John hasn't said it's fine.
All my first levels are good. We're good, guys. We're good.
And I think unfortunately you're going to have to make a decision pretty quickly about how you're going to handle this. Schnobik is about to be fired on. We're going to roll initiative, and he has a Breentown forward scout who is sitting on that hill,
Who just fired an arrow at him.
who's about to fire an arrow
About
at him.
to, okay.
Yeah, so we're gonna see if
Who gets to act first?
if Schnobik gets wins over this guy in initiative, which I think it's a good chance, he won't be surprised. But if he doesn't, you will be surprised. So let's bring out this. Let's do our initiative, and
That, oh no. I rolled a 2.
Oh, shit.
I have +5 on initiative.
all right.
That's still only a 7.
Ooh, Filnyr got 16.
Damn. Well, okay.
Are we all rolling initiative?
You were all rolling initiative.
I mean,
Let's
hey,
do it just in case. Let's do it just in case.
Okay.
Because maybe you guys will.
I mean, we had our eyes on Schnobik, though, right? So we should be able to kind of see what's happening.
You should.
Ionus got a 15.
Okay. And
I don't know if it's worth wasting a spell on, but I have an idea.
do you have something that allows you to switch places with Schnobik?
No, but it's depending on how far you make me move.
Well, the good news is no one can hit Schnobik because he's a fucking ball of darkness. And also he has magical darkness that he can cast too. And I'm gonna go ahead and roll. Sorry, guys. I'm gonna go ahead and roll these two as well.
But just to say, the archers on the lines have started firing because somebody yelled and they launched their first volley.
They did a volley, but it was sort of a half-hearted, like, I see you, ballista firers, and we're gonna, they're testing their range.
And which side had the arrows and which side was the ballista?
The ballista is the Owlwood and the ladies' men.
Got it. So those were on cranks. Those came up. I'm just refreshing the
Yep,
listeners.
that's right. Yep.
And myself.
And
Asking for a friend.
and the archers who came out of the forest are definitely Breentown people.
Casting rules apply to scrolls too, right? Like in terms of casting actions and bonus acting actions.
Yep.
I think it's crazy you can read a scroll just as fast as you can cast a spell that you've committed to memory.
But think of a spell scroll as more like someone has taken the time to actually cast the spell, and all you're doing, you're not like doing the normal.
It's not like
casting
instructions.
things. It's
right,
not.
It's a
wand.
macro.
It's a
Right.
It's like you pull out this magical thing and you push a button.
Yeah.
And the thing goes. It's like a one use wand.
Right.
That
Okay.
like
That makes more
blows
sense.
up. Yeah.
But I sort of feel
A shoulder fired rocket
the
launcher.
limits on sort of bonus action cast versus full action cast and not being able to do 2 slotted spells on those. At least the justification for it is like, it's like you can't expend that much magical energy at once. But if you're casting off a scroll, you're not really.
I mean, that seems like a way around it.
Yeah.
You're also.
But
if you're
that's
making-
also probably why I think it still counts, even if it's a scroll. Otherwise, that's a pretty big loophole.
Yes,
I mean, but scrolls are expensive to make, right?
they are.
So,
Not expensive to buy, depending.
I mean, it's 50 gold for this spell. I mean,
Does jumping count against your movement?
Yes.
Or if you take an action to jump?
Well, you take an action to jump, it's the dash action, and then you add 60 feet of movement. You get your jump is only it's part of your movement. Yes. Okay, we're out in the field, and Schnobik, remind me of what you got. What was your roll?
My roll was a 7.
Okay. So this archer rises up. It doesn't even rise up. Just sort of pulls his bow and he sort of holds it parallel to the earth. So he's still laying down.
Kill shot. That's a kill shot.
And he begins to knock an arrow, but he is faster than you. And so you sort of look back over your shoulder and you see that he's about to fire at you.
So how far away am I from
50 feet
from the ballista wall?
Oh, from the ballista wall, you are. Let me look at my hand-drawn map with distances marked. Okay, let me give you a little
lay the land.
Lay the land. Okay, so the knoll that you came out of is roughly in the middle of the whole scene, right? So center of the map is the knoll. You are, if you go about 150 feet due east, there's the remains of an arch that looks like it was once a doorway into a castle.
Okay.
It's in ruins. There's only one part that's maybe 6 feet high, but you can see the general shape of an arch that has fallen apart there. Following around the center of the circle, there's an arc that goes to the north and sort of veering up west. You have one area where there are ballistas about another 150 feet that way. So you are directly maybe 150 feet from one bank of ballistas that are almost due north of you, north and east a little bit, and then south and east of you. If you follow this circle around that goes from the archway south and around what was once this circular castle, you have another bank of ballistas and men hiding behind a wall that's about 4 feet high. That's another maybe 200 feet away from you, south, more due south. So if the mound is at the center of the clock, you have about 1 o'clock. You have one bank, and you're sort of looking that direction, and then at about
4 o'clock.
4 o'clock, yeah, you have another bank.
And each of those banks is, and basically all of those points on the edge of the clock there are about 150 feet away from me.
Yeah, but you're a little bit further north of the center, so that's why you're closer to the one the bank that's going toward the north than you are the one that's going south.
All right.
And then following straight due east, you have the river. Or it's a small, it's a small creek of the river that's only about 20 feet across, 30 feet across. And then you have the woods like beyond that.
So back to jumping. All of my jump has to take place within my movement.
Yes, that is correct.
Even if I can jump farther than my movement.
So I will allow you, if you're using the jump spell, I think the jump spell should allow you to move
In addition.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Because you're using a spell.
You're using a spell slot. Yes. So you'll get a full 60 feet of movement on your turn if you use the jump spell. As long as a good portion of that is jumping. So don't think of it as expeditious retreat. Think of it as expeditious jumping.
So here's what I want to do.
Okay.
Now so normally I would just say this and then leave it up to you guys to contradict me. but let me lay it out here. I run 30 feet to the east.
Okay.
I take a dash action.
Okay.
I run another 30 feet.
Okay.
I action surge and cast jump.
Okay.
All right.
That works.
I also have the boots of striding and springing, which triples my jump distance, and jump triples it again.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
It's fucking awesome.
My strength
It's
score
like a flea.
is 10.
That's right.
Yes.
So that would mean a 90-foot jump.
This is Awesome.
which adds up to 150 feet.
This is amazing. And jump lasts a minute.
So
Without
I am
concentration.
going to. I just look at the guy pointing the arrow at me and I say, "You dare!" And then I run to the east, sprinting faster than he can follow, jump, sail through the air, and land behind the ballista wall.
Are you gonna land behind it, directly behind it, or are you gonna continue running like toward the river? So in other words, you could split the two ballista walls and land
go in the arch area.
in the arch area.
No, I want to land with the ballista men.
Awesome.
And I say, "I have an urgent message for Lady Goliat Eder."
Oh god! Oh my god! That was fuck.
"Yes, I'm very powerful. You should fear me and take me to your leader immediately.
Yeah, and then another volley of arrows comes from the other side.
And please take care of that."
Yeah. Wait, was there a guy on that hill? Was there a man on that hill?
"Do you mean me?"
No, that it looked like there's a guy.
"Oh, yes. I doubt he's there anymore. I frightened the life out of him."
Oh my god! So you guys see this?
Yeah.
Schnobik just like goes, and you get your first sense of why the hell he was the scourge of the small folk and how he would jump over these walls. And also, he landed no problem. Like his arch was up. He was probably 30 feet in the air as he made this jump.
That was just incredible Hulk
90
style.
feet. Hulk style.
Yeah.
And we thought having to take the jump spell was a real,
yeah.
real handicap.
Yeah. And someone calls out and says, "Well, we can't protect you if you're going to go that way. Here, look." And he points you, and you see that they've actually dug a small, you didn't even see it at first, a trench that goes all the way to the river from the ballista spot.
Mm-hmm.
And so I tell you what, do you guys want to be in initiative or no? Because he maybe has just blown initiative up, and we may not even have to keep it. His turn is absolutely next. But like,
Because you started with Schnobik's turn, but Schnobik did not win initiative in turn for us.
so what I did is because I didn't think that you would even see that the archer was about to attack him.
Right.
He's just walking, and then you see him bolt that way,
Okay.
and you see him make this jump,
Right.
and the archer, like you don't see the archer, obviously.
But I thought we had like the scrying thing back on Schnobik for when he popped
I thought
out.
you were looking at Schnobik.
We could see Schnobik, but we can't
Oh,
see what
Couldn't see the
Schnobik's looking
archer.
at.
Yeah. And so the archer like is about to make a shot, but now he doesn't even see Schnobik because he's back in this trench behind the things. So I'm happy to like keep it out of initiative, but if you guys are going to go out into the field and do some stuff,
I mean, I think we have to.
then we'll keep it.
Well, the problem is,
Otherwise, the party's split.
yeah, the party split, and we have no way of getting to Schnobik unless we go through and
We
end
did-
up at the thing.
We did the mind
I'm
link,
just
right?
Schnobik's
we
just showing you
didn't.
how
Oh,
it's
we
done,
didn't.
baby. Follow at your own risk.
Well, I need to figure out what happened because I was in the middle of casting Rary's telepathic bond, and then
and then he just left. oh my god!
yeah, he took off
dude.
because
Such an
what's his name?
asshole.
Leroy Jenkins
Felipe was like,
there.
"Wait, get Saber in here." I was like, "Oh, I'll get Saber in here," and then he runs off.
Yeah, that's right. We broke it right. Then there was a whole permission thing, and then he was just like, "Yes, you could do it. Bye."
Bye. Yeah, it's like, oh, it's a
See
Schnobik.
ya.
Arr.
Um,
But the only way to catch up to him is to go in front of this archer.
Yes.
So
but you don't know the guy's there, so
We
perfect.
don't know the guys there.
Yeah.
So I feel like if you go an initiative from Schnobik, do the archer's turn as much as anybody would see it. So maybe
Yeah.
that's not even told to the
Yeah,
audience.
Got it.
And then go around and I guess come back to us. And then if we get through this, then we'll just drop initiative. But
Okay.
I mean, oh, sorry.
So Felipe looks at you and says, "Are we going out?"
we've lost Schnobik. I think we cannot just let him wander wildly.
What an asshole! You should have left him down there.
Felipe,
Damn it.
take a breath.
Okay.
We must remain calm so we can assess the situation once we get outside. He ran off. That does not mean we are in danger.
I don't want them to see you. I want them to see me. And he puts his hands on you both. And you are invisible. He says, "Do not cast. You are invisible. even to me. Shall we go?
All right.
All right. So he has cast invisibility on the two of you, and he says, "Just follow my lead." And he walks out the door.
I forgot that Felipe would be pissed about getting shown up in front of the Owlwood.
So he walks out, and
I have one other question. Well, I mean, this is a broader question about invisibility, but like, would popping the cap off your liquid smoke or whatever it is, would that break invisibility?
I don't think it would break invisibility, but that is my plan, and that's what I was going to do without invisibility. But it's all good. We're invisible.
I don't even know if it's windy outside.
Yeah.
and he turns around and he says, "Gentlemen, come and run to the Owlwood. I shall protect you." And so he's like standing there in the field, and it is Filnyr's turn.
So he went out the door, and
He went out the door,
and that's as far as he went.
Well, he continued to walk, and you don't see him on the screen anymore.
All right. I will step out the door.
Okay. You see him standing on top of the hill, and he has kicked in the face the archer who was there, who has knocked an arrow and is aiming it at him now, but he has obviously not fired at him yet.
And I'm invisible. How far is the archer from me? Okay, but that's... Well, Felipe had enough of a turn to do invisibility and get 50 feet.
He's not on top of the hill. Fuck it. Fuck it.
Sorry, I'm
Follow
just
the
like,
rules.
wait a
You're
second.
right. No, you're right. Because he cast invisibility, he couldn't do the full thing he was going to do. Fine. Yeah.
Well,
so he's on the ground.
I was assuming the invisibility happened outside of initiative. That like you guys aren't really in initiative until you come in.
Let's do that. Yeah. That invisibility was outside of initiative.
Okay.
Yeah. So so he went out and he bolted toward this guy and did something extra you didn't see. He knows Longstrider. Right. He's got a couple of these things like that. And he's in his place. He's in his place, guys.
So he's on top
lair
of the
actions. Even though his lair has been all but turned to rubble.
Okay, so he's on top of the grassy knoll.
He's on top of the grassy knoll.
And he has pointed us to go a particular way, or he's just kicked this archer down?
He's kicked this archer down, and he's called to you and said, "Go to the Owlwood."
I think you just walk, right?
Yeah, the question is dashing. I had a whole plan for this archer, but I don't need to use it, I guess, because I didn't beat Felipe in initiative order. And it will break the invisibility, which I don't.
He says, "Your invisibility will soon be broken anyway.
Yeah.
Don't worry, I have a big plan to do. Bring out my big guns soon enough."
And I can't see Ionus, obviously. I was going to hold person on the archer and just make him like stand there so we just walk by. It seems kind of pointless, although he still could get shot. When he kicked him over, the arrow still knocked. The guy managed.
Yeah, this is the worst archer ever.
He rolled down, and he knocked. He's got an arrow knocked. I mean, he's going to fire at him. This is happening simultaneously.
Yeah.
It's just Felipe had a significantly higher initiative than
right. Felipe, I'm going, and I'll dash 60 feet east.
And don't worry about the arrows from the Breentown humans.
I'll keep my eye as I'll sort of run over and keep an eye on this archer in case it has to be dealt with.
And it's Ionus. Yep.
All right. I step through and have no idea what happened to Filnyr.
That's right.
I see that this guy is on the ground.
Well, that's why I hollered, but I don't know if you could hear me through the...
I don't know if I can...
You can hear.
I can hear him?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. If I hear everything, then I'll just step through and assess the situation and then dash after Filnyr. I'll dash in the direction that Schnobik jumped.
Okay.
Which we didn't see.
Well, we didn't?
We just saw him disappear.
Yeah, you saw him. Yeah.
Because he was saying we saw him jump, but maybe we didn't.
Well, I think Felipe followed him.
Right.
Like as
we
you
just
were doing it. So you
turned
watched
it
this thing.
toward and
Yeah.
saw Schnobik run away.
Yeah.
And,
No, it's better if we didn't see it because then he'll just tell us a story and we don't have to believe it.
All right. And we'll it's next. It's the folks in the ballista place, and you hear them as you're going down the trench, right? Schnobik?
Does he have any more movement to do that?
No. I was like the guy told him that. Are you gonna? Were you making your way that way?
I mean, the only reason I hesitate is, do I want to nonchalantly walk on the regular ground?
Right. I get it.
Right.
Well, so the
Instead of using the trench. But if they're all down in the trench, then I, want them to get a good look.
yeah. So I mean, it's not your turn yet, but they basically the ballista users pop up and they say, inside range, there's a gnome. Is that one of theirs? It's a gnome.
Schnobik hesitates for just a beat too long, and then says, "No, he is of the owl wood, but you could send a warning shot at him if you were so moved."
I said, forget the gnome. Hit the trees. And they angle up and they say fire. And just these giant ballista bolts go through. Most of them miss the trees, but a few of them hit. And you see these beautiful old trees. None of them come down with the first volley. But like they slice through trees and you see huge branches fall down to the ground. And then far in the distance where you can see how the track of the ballista bolts went, you see several small fires begin deep in the forest. And they say, knock the next, and they begin to load. And these are similar sized to the ones that were up in the tower by the end of the world when you guys fought there. So it's big. These are very, very, very big.
Yeah.
Okay, and it is Schnobik's turn.
I am walking casually in the direction of Goliat Eder
Okay.
through the trench.
Okay. These guys who are there are like, I mean, they saw you do this thing,
Mhm.
and they're like, should we let her back to my lady? I don't know. And someone else says, gnome, did you hear there was a gnome? There's a gnome?
Yes, please focus your attention on the gnome. I am no trouble.
Who is it? Who is it? Is it Carl Anthony? Is it Carl Anthony? He's been missing.
To be honest, I can't tell one from another.
Wow.
And the humans who are there are like, yeah, I heard that. And then all the other racials that are there, elves, gnomes, they're just like, fuck this guy. Someone goes, is he a Breen Towner? I don't think so. He's here to parlay with my lady. Jesus Christ. So you're like getting those kind of things, but someone finally
Wait,
says,
there's a devotee of Jesus here?
oh man, I
That's
did it again.
trouble.
Oh, I did it
That's
again. Okay, so you continue to walk. The archer who's on the mound sort of rears back and fires at Felipe, but he's so close that like Felipe sort of sticks his foot out and like kicks at the guy as he's firing. And let's see here, he's gonna have disadvantage on these. And the first one just whizzes right past, and he just keeps knocking arrows, and he fires again at him, and he is going to one screen, too many items, and the next one hits, and Felipe takes it in his left arm, and then immediately breaks the arrow off and tosses it down and looks back at the guys in the ballista things, and he says, "It was nothing." And he fires.
Does he have to make a concentration check?
Dope.
Yeah,
Dope.
he does. He does. Okay. Oh man, and his constitution is very not good enough. and you both are visible. It's like he's like, oh, so sorry.
Felipe!
And you hear people on the line go, oh my God, there's a skinny one and a half elf also. They just appeared on the battlefield. You hear that?
I love that they can tell.
Yeah, yeah, right.
You just got to get a hat for Filnyr. I just have no idea until
Yeah.
I
And they'll immediately be your half elf.
And they can smell him.
Right.
And the guy attacks him one more time. And this one misses as well. And from the Breen Towners, the archers move up 30 feet and launch another volley of arrows. And this time they hit like right at the wall, where the
So the over me and Ionus.
over you and Ionus, and they hit the wall where the ballistas are, and a couple of them hit the ballistas, and you hear guys in the trench say, "It's happening! It's really happening! We need to be ready to charge." And
Things must have really been on a hair trigger if my appearance could suddenly touch all this off.
yeah, it was on a hair trigger. And from the trench, in silver armor, you see a form. It's clearly a woman. She is in a very expensive looking Monteran armor, and her visor is down, and she is walking, and men are giving her things. So one man gives her a sword, another man gives her a shield, and she's walking and she's approaching you.
Well, how do I know she's a woman then?
Well, her shape is, so she has the shape of
It's all the way
armor.
she walks.
Sorry,
Yeah.
it's in the way she walks.
Yeah.
Her armor is just like a metal bikini.
It has boobs on it. It does. Well, there's
Because
definitely
that's what armor is.
it was definitely
For
made.
ladies.
It was definitely made to allow like bust,
Mhm.
like to be
Mhm.
kind of on display.
Okay.
It looks a bit like ceremonial armor, to be
Mhm.
perfectly honest. And she is walking, and she's going, and she stops in front of you, and she lifts up her visor, and she says, "Schnobik?"
Yes, in a manner of speaking.
And you it's hard to recognize. Give me a history check.
Okay.
It's hard to tell from her face, but let me see your roll here.
That is a
Yeah.
16.
So you know that she was she's a Hyacinth, and her name is Jabel Hyacinth, and she was one of the ladies in waiting that went with your aunt when she moved to Eder to marry Harold Two Hands,
Mhm.
and was not, as far as you know, was not a warrior when she left.
I forgot that I have proficiency in history.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Good job. Yeah, that's a +7 is a pretty great.
Yeah. Well, debatable. Yes, I must speak with my aunt.
She's back across the river. What is wrong with you?
So many things. It is important that I speak with her. What is the quickest way to arrive?
Straight down through here. But you might want to stay to watch this. And she like swings her long sword around. You could tell it's a very high quality long sword. And she says, I'm gonna go and kill some of these Breen Town pretenders. And she keeps walking, and you hear a small, like there's men with spears and shields, and they start to hit their spears on their shields, and they say, Jabel, Jabel, Jabel the killer. Jabel.
And this is a woman that
Jabel.
I've known to basically be like a lady and like a lady's maid almost.
She is incredible with a harpsichord. Like she, yes, yeah. This is not in character as far as you know, but it's been probably 10 years, 15
Sure.
years since you saw her. Yeah. She looks like herself though, like in the face when you see her. And she's making her way toward the front line.
Okay. Do you know on what scale you would have to be killing to impress me?
And she doesn't even acknowledge you. She just keeps going. And then,
Frankly, I'd be more impressed with some nice harpsichord playing now. But
and then from the other line, you hear something. Someone starts something, and you hear it's like thaumaturgy, and you hear someone from the other side say, "Send the ghost." And if you are looking back,
I just realized this is a stage for all Tom's unused characters.
That's what you think?
you guys now realize that you are visible.
Yep.
And
Oh, Ionis. Okay.
Just run.
you guys are like literally right next to each other,
Yeah.
and you didn't realize. Yeah. And you just kind of see the clouds begin to darken over the tree where the trees are, and then there's a shadow that's cast upon the ground, and you see the shadow is moving toward you all, and you see that the archers are firing, but they're avoiding anywhere in this particular area, and Felipe calls out and says, "The ghost is dead. There's no ghost. The ghost was alive when I was alive." And this cloud continues to come. Filnyr, it's you.
So we're about 90 feet still from, we went 60?
Yeah, you went. Yeah, so you're 90 feet away from the embankment of ballistas. Yeah, and about 10 feet from the knoll.
So while Tim considers what to do, I will just say that I did a little reading on jumping
Okay.
per Jeremy Crawford,
Okay.
and your speed caps it. So, or that's his. So if you dash, you can jump 60 feet along, but if you could jump further than that, it's sort of whichever is smaller, your jump distance or your speed. So essentially, what that jump, I'm just going to take that 60 feet, extra 60 feet I got as a gift.
Here's what I'm going to do. Here's what I'm
but-
going to do forever for
Mhm.
this. On the round that you cast jump,
I get an extra,
you get the
I
extra
can
30
exceed
feet.
my speed,
You get the
but
extra
not-
30 feet.
but not forever.
Yeah.
Well, so normally I would have made it 90 if I'd used another dash action
Right.
instead of casting jump.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so you could still do that every time. So what we'll do is we'll count jump as a dash and jump when you cast it. Does that make sense?
Okay. So we will. So
every time that
Gotcha.
you cast
I can
jump,
go
you'll get
up to
60
90
yeah, you
feet
get
total.
yes, that's right.
without action, if we're not calling action search.
That's right.
Right.
That's
Okay.
right.
I like that.
Look at
Makes,
that.
makes it fun and special. But,
Yeah.
And a little more advantageous, worthy of a first level spell slot.
Uh-huh.
But then future jumps off that same spell are going to be limited by speed.
Yes, from that same casting. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, Filnyr.
How far back from us is the ghost?
Okay. Ghost is just coming
It's
out
pretty far, right?
very far. So
Okay.
you are 100 feet here, 600, 700 feet away.
Okay. I'm going to continue east and call for Schnobik. Schnobik, where did you go? And then I'll also yell back to Felipe. Felipe, are you coming? What are you doing?
And I think both parties ignore him.
Yes, I'm sure.
Yeah. Both parties ignore him, although you do hear people say, "It's not Carl Anthony." Felipe? Who calls himself Felipe? Okay, and it's Ionus.
I'm just shaking my head and pushing on.
Pushing on. Okay.
Because I wanted to do the same thing. Felipe, stop back! But Filnyr's calling out and nobody's answering. I'm like, these motherfuckers.
Okay.
Head on a swivel, though.
Yeah.
All the
Yeah.
arrows and shit.
And
going.
I've got my eye on the ghost when they when they said, Felipe said the ghost should be dead.
Yeah.
My head turned around like, eh?
Yeah. You don't see anything
Mhm.
except the cloud and the shadow coming.
I thought all ghosts were dead.
Yeah. It's a real person. It was just real scary. The ballistas fire again into the woods. No trees are coming down yet, but like they're taking heavy damage. There's 12 total ballistas, and the ballistas are doing big damage there. And every once in a while, you see like something fall that might be a person getting knocked out of one of these trees. And it is Schnobik's turn.
Schnobik. So has the are they charging already? Are they still preparing to charge?
So she is moving out, and there's definitely people who are following behind her.
Mm-hmm.
You get the sense that she's walking on that field by herself.
Mm-hmm. So well, if all eyes are on her, no need to use this trench anymore. I'm just gonna hop up back onto the level ground, but keep walking sort of along the line of the wall.
And people are calling out to you like you're a crazy person,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, there's more ballistas on the other side of the river. They're going to start firing them. Do not be above the trench.
Well,
They're going to miss you.
yeah, you said they're gonna miss me.
Yeah, they'll
Yeah.
definitely. If
Well-
they're going to be shooting far, they're going to miss you.
Yeah, I mean, what I was thinking though was, if they're ballistas, they would have to be shooting at me unless it's some kind of like explosive something.
Right. Well, they are explosives, but
Yeah.
yes. Yeah.
But I think I don't know if that's beyond Schnobik's
yeah.
experience of the world.
Yeah.
So I might be ballistas schmalistas.
All right.
I once knew a girl named Schmalista.
I turned her.
He muses as he strolls south towards the river.
You guys finally see Schnobik pick up out of the thing, and the archer who is on the hill with Felipe turns and says, "God, take your soul," and begins sprinting back toward the trees. And Felipe.
Can we see Felipe over the tall grass?
Yes. Well, he's up on the hill. He's up on the mound. Felipe, that you can tell there's a volley of fire that's about to come, and you see him begin to cast, and you see this like wall of wind and debris sort of begin, and it's up high, so it's going to intercept the normal archer fire. So he put it up high in the air, and the volley of arrows come, and when they hit the wind wall that he's put up in the air, they do just kind of disperse and start to hit the ground short. But unfortunately, they're starting to land closer to you because they have slowed down. Let me do a quick roll. I don't think any are going to hit you. Okay. Give me a dex saving throw. Several are going to be landing near you. The DC on this is 12. And it's not going to be very bad for you at this point, but it does suck to have.
I mean, listen, these
17.
are guys that can take a flaming arrow to the butt
Yeah.
if needed.
I'm gonna use a luck point.
Okay.
That's a 12.
Okay.
I rolled a natural 1, and now it's 12.
And so these arrows sort of like you see them just get diverted by this wind wall, and then they start to come down and they hit very close to both of you. And Felipe turns and says, "That will hold it for now. Back to the lines of the Owlwood." And he sort of looks very intently on this shadow that's approaching, and he calls out and he says, "If the cloud forms above you, lie down." And he starts to run.
And how close is he to us?
He's 150 feet. He's calling out to you.
And he starts to run toward
You.
the cloud. Oh, toward us.
Toward you. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And it is Jebel continues to walk through the thing, and she pops up over where she pops up into the last little trench before the ballistas, and 2 men lower down a small ladder to climb on and hold her shield and her sword, and she climbs up to the top, and they climb up and give her her sword and her shield, and she is completely exposed, and she begins to walk toward the center of the field.
I think that lady's about to find out how good a conductor her armor is.
and the cloud continues to move, and from where it is, you see it's almost like it doesn't exist, but you see the shape of a longbow sort of appear in the shadow, and you see an arrow streak out from the clouded area. She fires. With something in the cloud fires, and you see 1, 2, 3, and 4 arrows go crazy high up in the air, and they do not come down yet.
Boy.
And Filnyr, it's you.
How far am I now from the embankment? I did
From the embankment, you are now.
I did 2. I've been 120 feet from the exit door,
So you're now 30 feet away from
Okay.
the embankment.
and that means I can just like drop into the trench.
Well, you're going to be
potentially.
running straight toward this silver armored like tank of a woman who is coming out, and she says, "Half elf, be you Breen or be you Owl?
We are in search of Goliat, friend,
You're with my cousin."
and your cousin, and I'll gesture over to Ionus.
And she pops up and she says, "Dear God, what is happening here? Ionus! Ionus! It is I, Jebel! Run! The ghost will strike you dead!"
Jebel! What is this? What are you doing?
Run!
Yes!
So I'll move to the trench,
yeah, smart.
which is 30 feet, right?
Yeah.
Drop down into the trench and then look for Schnobik.
Yeah, you see him walking above the trench toward the river.
I'll walk in the trench.
Yeah, okay.
We'll dash in the trench.
All right.
Another toward him.
All right. Okay, and it is you, Ionus.
So I'm looking at the cloud. I'm trying to follow Filnyr, but I'm looking at this cloud.
Yeah.
What is the distance?
So it's moving much faster than you are moving, even with your dashes. It is now about 600 feet away from you.
How high in the sky?
So the cloud is very high. I mean,
It is a cloud.
It is a cloud. It is a cloud. And you can tell that there's rain inside this area.
Mm-hmm.
The shadow that it casts is maybe like 100 feet wide. So like it's like a 50-foot radius, probably.
Mm-hmm.
Assuming that like your perspective is correct, it's probably a 50-foot radius cloud as well.
Mm-hmm.
The shadow is not directly underneath it, so the shadow is closer to you than the cloud is.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I saw something within the cloud.
And it looked like on the shadow, on the ground, through the rain.
There's something
On the
on
ground.
that
ground.
fired into the sky.
That's correct.
Into the cloud?
No, it's streaking up, like it's going to be coming down near you, almost certainly. Like it's heading your way, but
Yeah.
it's so high. It's a sky shot. It's just like so high.
Yeah. Okay.
Serpentine, Jonas. Serpentine.
Yeah, I'm gonna follow Filnyr into the trench and try to. And I see Felipe. He's running toward us. And I'm just gonna try to get a sense of the situation to see where I can see who I can protect and where.
Yeah. So Felipe is running toward you. He's going much faster than you normally go as well, even though he's a gnome. But he's 120 feet behind you.
Okay.
At this
There's a lot
point.
of cartoon imagery in this one, like the rain cloud that's
Yes,
just floating with
yeah.
rain dropping in
It's
one
true.
spot.
It's true.
And moving.
Does he do a sort of with his
Yeah.
legs and
Feet just blur.
Yeah, he does.
It's like Mario. He runs a little bit and then he speeds up.
Yeah.
The little poof.
there's a little outline of smoke left that gradually falls to the ground.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Pew!
And Jebel says, "Concentrate fire on the shadow." and the southern embankment of ballistas does not get the order, and they fire toward the trees again. And there's more trees, and now one tree, like the top of one of the trees, kind of comes down, but you see that there's now a growing fire, 200 or 300 feet into the tree line, where these ballista bolts have been exploding there, and the embankment where you all are fires right toward the shadow on the ground, and there's explosions, and you see that this shadow, like, even though it's big, it sort of moves in a way that is not natural, quickly moving, 20 feet one direction, 30 feet another direction as these bolts come and hit down. So some of them would have hit in the center of the shadow, but instead they're missing the center, and they're just hitting on the ground, and they're leaving these pock marks on the ground that you can sort of see through the rain and the cloud and the shadow. And they're large explosions, like 10-foot radius explosions happening on the ground. And there's no fire. That's the grass is not being set on fire. It's just, it's a pop of fire that hits. And it is Schnobik.
I suddenly remember that the ore keeper is the one that I care about.
Yeah, right.
So I look now. They've made it to the trench and they're walking along, and I've just been walking.
Yeah.
So can I see where they are?
You can see where they are. You can see them now because you're up high too. You can see them in the trench by the ballistas.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess I'll walk back over to him.
Okay. All right. And you see Schnobik approaching again.
Walking the other direction.
And
come on, we have business to take care of.
And another volley of arrows come, and they're messed up by the wind wall that's up in the air again, and they land around the outside of the bunker again, and Felipe Madamba, like, they miss Felipe Madamba as he's running and juking as he goes through, and you see that Jabel is continuing to walk right toward the shadow, and she looks and she flips up her helmet again. She says, "Are you Felipe Madamba?" and
this lady's having a day.
Yeah, and he says, "Indeed I am. Indeed I am. Did you see what I have done? I have stopped their arrows." And she says, "You have not stopped anything. Get in the trench. It's the only place safe." And he continues to run. And the shadow continues to move toward you, and it moved about 100 feet this time.
Oh, wow.
And you see in the sky that arrows are coming down, and the longbow materializes for a second, and this time you can almost see the face of a young elven woman, and it's just for a split second as arrows go underneath Felipe's wind wall and land in the trench and hit 3 of the men who are controlling the ballistas. As the sky shots come and hit them in the head, they're hit in the chest from her second volley of shots, and one of them, as the arrow from the sky hits, a lightning bolt shoots from the ground straight up in the air, and the ballista crumbles apart.
Goodness.
And Jabel says, "Bring the ballistas down! Bring the ballistas down! She can't see anything. I'll kill her myself." And she continues to walk, not run, toward the shadows. And it's Filnyr's turn.
All right, so seeing Schnobik coming back towards us, I'll beckon him down. Do you know which way we're Goliat is? Should we not?
And I, stand tall and this way, cross the river. Come now.
And how far is Felipe?
I thought he was with you.
He was behind us.
I assume he's still behind you then.
Yeah, he's about 30 feet away from Jabel, so he's got about 90 feet left to get here.
We must wait for Felipe. Stay safe. Get in the trenches. Your arrogance will be the death of you. That'll be my turn.
All right. All right. And
More
Ionus.
likely, my arrogance will be the death of you, but that is another discussion.
Oh, you two, stop it! And I look out and I see Felipe's almost there, and I see Jabel walking toward this shadow creature. Shadow creature went 100 feet. How far away from me now?
About it's about 600 feet from you now, so about 580 from the trench.
Okay.
Like it's almost to the knoll. It's almost to the grassy knoll now. It's like moving. No, it's like it's still got 300 feet from the knoll. So it's still moving across the plains.
All right. I'm having a hard time with this. Schnobik, this woman is Monteran. Wait. I have to see what's happening.
All right.
You know, more so than my arrogance, his distractedness and delay is more likely to kill us than anything.
And the veterans in the trench begin to hand crank these ballistas to head back down, and so they're heading back down, and another volley comes from the other side from the Breenies, and it is your turn, Schnobik.
Half elf, are you dead set on sticking with the wizard and watching this play out?
I stay with Ionus.
It's like I'm chained to a man who's chained to a man who's chained to a rock. I'm just going to hang out.
Okay. All right. So this scene kind of continues. There's ballista bolts taking trees down on the other side. There's return fire. Jebel is making her way toward the shadow, and now this shadow begins to fire sky shots and level shots in slow progression against Jebel, and Jebel is knocking these things out of the air as the shots are coming down. Some of them are missing her. Occasionally another lightning bolt shoots up, and you can tell it hurts Jebel. And then she gets about 60 feet away, and she lifts her visor up, and she's now just outside of the rain and the cloud, and she goes down to one knee, holds her shield up above her head, and vanishes. And you hear fighting, scrum, melee from inside the shadow, and lightning bolts are coming down, and you can't see exactly what's happening in there, but you can tell that like the shadow is dancing around some central point and is like not being in the middle of this thing, and the ballistas are quiet, and you just see like this it's just this rain cloud, and every once in a while you hear another like pained groan, but it's two women's voices, and this goes on for 30 seconds at least, and then suddenly you see about 100 feet away from you, Jebel reappears on the ground, on the ground, standing tall, and her visor is up, and she has got burn marks all over her armor, and her shield has been cut in two, and her longsword looks like it's still extremely it's clean. There's no blood on this longsword at all. And you see her for a moment, and then an arrow hits the top of her helmet and knocks her down, and another arrow hits on her leg, and this one actually pierces her armor, and the shadow clears, and the cloud goes away, and you see an elven woman standing on the top of the green knoll, and she says, "You will never take the Breen town. Go back to your city in the west, or I will kill every one of you." And the cloud begins to form again, and it starts to move back toward the other woods.
Do any of us recognize the elven woman?
You do not recognize the elven woman.
Was Felipe able to see the elven woman?
He saw her, and he's like, "That's not the ghost. The ghost is a man,
Perhaps.
but it's similar." and the remaining veterans from the trench run out and drag a half dead Jebel from the battlefield and bring her back into the trench, and she's unconscious but alive.
Did the elf appear injured in any way?
Not a little bit, not even a little bit. So her men continue to pull her in, and they take off her helmet, and she is unconscious. And someone says, "Where's Greaves? Greaves was one of the men killed by the arrow fire. We need another medic. Where's another medic?" And Felipe says, "I am Felipe Madamba, and I can bring her back to life."
Felipe, she's alive.
And he shoots you, fucking hammer dagger eyes, and he says, "I don't believe she is. Half elf." And he holds his hand up in the sky, and he says, "By the owl wood which flows through my veins since I founded this kingdom 150 years before 300 years ago, 450 years ago." And he slams down his hand on her and casts a spell, and she Goliat, you were right. She can't be killed by frontal assault. You really are Felipe Madamba. I am Felipe Madamba. Take me to your queen. Very well. And the men who are there say, "What is going on? Felipe is dead." "He's standing right here," Jebel says. Let's go. Goliat will know what to do."
The little gnome is so theatrical, Schnobik says, and then puts on his white enamel mask.
And then probably flicks his cape.
Yeah, flicks his cape a little bit as he turns and strides away.
All right, so they walk with you, and as you get to the back lines, you see that they have prepared they're not dug in for a fight here against the Breentown people. Everything is on carts. They need to cross the river with all their carts, and they need to head toward Breentown. This is their best way to go. They want to assault from this side. It's very clear that they want to cross. They don't want to have to cross the bridge at Breentown. And there are now, you see druids here. There are lots of animals that are milling about that seem to be answering to the wildlings, for lack of a better word for them here. Some of them recognize the visage of Felipe Madamba, but he doesn't recognize any of them, and they are not interested in talking to him. And he is. He sort of sidles up to you, Ionus, and he says, "They're treating me like I'm persona non grata here. It doesn't make any sense. These are my people."
Well, why don't we take stock of what's happening? We'll ask a few questions, but perhaps we'll know more once we speak to my aunt.
This is not how I thought this would go.
It's been a long time, Felipe. Just have some patience.
He says, "I have patience, but while I was resurrecting their champion, I thought I might." He sort of trails off, and he says, "The palace is gone. Everything is gone. There is no Owlwood. It's not the trees. It was me and the castle. That was the Owlwood."
I am sorry. I know how it feels to suddenly awaken and the world is upside down.
"Yes, I've heard your story. How was it losing 2 whole years of your life?"
I was trying to help. Adios.
And you are not taken to the tent that you saw through the snake's eyes when Schnobik was looking through the scrying machine. You're taken to another tent that looks like it's a little bit fancier. It's not as big, but it's got velvet curtains that sort of open up, and sitting there is by herself, Goliat she's sitting crisscross applesauce on a stack of rugs that are sort of like bench height from the rugs, and she says, I did not even believe it when my runner came. Ionus, it is so good to see you.
You as well.
I was very disappointed when I found out you did not marry our friend in Hark, but I understand she is not much of a looker. But perhaps we can talk about that and catch up on many other things. Do you enjoy bulla? Do you enjoy wine? What is it we'd like? And welcome, friends.
Yes, this is my companion, Filnyr.
Oh, Filnyr. I saw you just appear on the battlefield. What magic do you use that allows you to do such things? And to make my nephew disappear as well and reappear. That was quite incredible.
I cannot claim the magic there, my lady, and I will give her a formal bow.
Yeah.
It was, in fact, Felipe who hid us from sight.
You.
Only to... yes, it was him who hid us from sight.
Yes. Wow, you. Look at you. You were the very gnome who partnered with my sister's late husband to repel the humans from Breen. Is that correct? Felipe Madamba. Yes. That was me. That was me, Kekiset.
My lady.
Yes, yes. This is indeed Felipe Madamba, right, Felipe Madamba?
Yeah. Yes. It is. It is I, my lady. She says, "Well, you really screwed that one up, didn't you? You were not supposed to attack for a whole year later. My brother-in-law. You were not even supposed to have an accord with him. We paid you. We did. And now everything has gone to hell. Jesus is back. Lakeshire has been taken. We're all flying by the seat of our pants here. And I for one, blame you. Just because some noble and fancy pants comes and tells you it's time, you were not paid by a man. You were paid by two women.
That's a minor illusion, a whisper into Filnir's ear. Start talking to your sword. Start talking to your sword.
Anyway, what is done. Here we are. The Breen Valley is falling apart. But at least Eder is falling apart. Hark is falling apart. The elves have not marched in. The elves have not flooded the valley. So all is not lost. All is not lost.
Dear aunt, a lot has happened.
Indeed.
I would very much like to hear your version of what is currently going on.
Cut to a very long scene of her explaining. And that's why we have to first march on Monterre. No, really. That's why we have to march on Monterre. Ionus, I don't expect you to understand this. I know you had some misplaced love for that man of yours. He was an awful king who abdicated his throne and his people so that he could have a few more riches from Robert Hark. He lost us everything. The plan was always for him to march into Eder and to make my young son king of Eder, to march into Hark and make you king of Harkness. And then the three of us would rule together the northern parts of Gilbrain, protected. No more wars in this awful land. This border war has gone on much too long. We're closing in on 50 years of young men and women cut down for nothing. Your mother understood this. I only regret that I did not insist upon her writing you in on the machinations of our plan. You are not a dumb man, I told her.
I appreciate you coming to my defense. I am still confused as to your position here.
That's obvious, isn't it? My husband left Eder. He still believes I love him above all else and that your mother is behind this whole thing. He believes that I have somehow been ensorcelled into standing up against him. Why do I not have a son? Why do I not have a daughter? Have you ever asked yourself that? It is not for lack of trying. The man doesn't understand how children are made.
Well, all right. I would.
Have you met his wizard Balthazar?
I have indeed.
Balthazar has convinced him that the moment I have a child, that he will suddenly be killed. And so you know what he's been doing? I won't go into too many details, but he has not been allowing the final thing to happen for me to achieve a child. And I have not been allowed to have a lover to produce one because everyone knows he's been doing this. I have to be watched. He has clerics come in when we are making love. Do you have any idea how embarrassing that might be for a woman of my stature?
I can only imagine.
And he does it all for what pleasure? Not politics? Children are not about pleasure. Children are about the future. Power. Riches. He's a fool.
Is he? Did you not just say that my father was supposed to march in and make your son king of Eder?
He gave your mother one child, did he not? He wasn't such a fool, and we let him live how long?
Who?
Many years.
I'm sorry, what? What? You're saying my father gave my mother one child?
Yes, you.
Not Eder, I got confused.
You. Yes.
But he was afraid that you would kill him if you had a son, which was your plan.
What happens if I fall in love with the man who gives me a son?
Yes, it sounds like the King of Eder was edging into dangerous territory.
You're still wearing your mask, right?
Well,
Like just random person speaking up.
How have you amassed so much power here in the Owlwood?
well, my most people are loyal to me in Eder City because they know the only reason why the banks have money to lend, why the merchants are able to send their ships around the Horn of Gilbrain is because I make it so. I cut them deals. I have created a whole new guild. Can you believe it? Goliat Eder, Queen of the Merchants. They know where their toast is buttered.
And so now you take Braintown to take all of the coffers from Eder.
She sort of reacts. I don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
Braintown has lots of food. What I would like is to starve out Harold Two Hands and force him to come back and apologize to me, give me a child, and we'll discuss whether he's allowed to survive the next world that we make for ourselves. He is a sweet man. He's just not a king.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
I think we finally understand each other. And I look at Filnyr with giant eyes. Look at Schnobik with giant eyes.
What does your mother say about your current situation?
As I said, a lot has happened. Mother has been imprisoned.
I speak to her once a week.
How do you do this?
I have a wizard. You should get one.
Perhaps I should. She seems well.
She seems very sad about a number of different things. I don't think I expected her to care about Estepris. It was her own doing, obviously, but regret runs deep in the Demerode women. We have such high moral quality and character that we often regret what we do for the good of the family for our whole lives. And she is in that. She is cursed with that same character flaw of empathy. I think she worries about you more than she misses her husband, but yes, she is sad. And also her favorite servant was recently killed.
Her favorite servant. Are you talking about Percy Senior?
Percy the Seventh, yes.
The seventh?
Yes.
Good Lord, that's a popular. Well, he's passed.
He passed recently. I won't get into it, but yes, things in Monterre have really gone out of control. Her lover. Does she know that Schnobik is here?
No.
Okay.
That was why I mentioned the mask before.
Thank you. Yeah. Her lover, who was, well, there's no real easy way to say this.
Yes, please tell her son about his mother's lover.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Her lover. Every woman needs some kind of happiness after they have children. Her lover. He intended. He was supposed to just take over the army. Do you know? They respected him, and obviously he was the one who was supposed to bring the Breen under heel, and he refused to do so. He told her, "It's new times." And I said, "I could have told you. Anyone with a name like Reinhold is not to be trusted. He's not one of us. He's not noble. I think he was born in Waterdeep. I think he's a Faeruni through and through. No history. Nothing. 18 years old. He shows up with a horse and a lance. And suddenly, he makes his way up to your father's most trusted lieutenant. Don't trust it. But anyway, Monterre is what Monterre is. I could care less. Couldn't care less. I have my eye on the prize. The rest of the island.
It seemed you're well on your way.
I have but 400 troops here, 200 Owlwoodians, and 400 ladiesmen. But we are, I believe, the most powerful army that is well fed in the whole valley. At least that much.
Indeed. What of my companion Felipe Madamba?
And she sort of looks over and says, "Companion? You trust him?"
I do.
Ha!
Yes.
Sorry, that Schnobik couldn't contain it.
Well, I wouldn't trust him if I were you. And she looks over at the gnome, and he's sort of looks really confused. And she said, "First of all, a hothead like that runs into trouble, runs into any kind of trouble, has their men cut down. You don't survive a war by losing your finest troops in acts of valor. You win the war by destroying food wagons. You win the war by sabotaging dams. You win the war by staying on the move. That's how you win the war. You don't win the war doing anything that he's ever done. I think he wants the whole brain for himself.
Take a look at Felipe. What's he doing?
He's like, he's just like kind of stunned by the whole thing. And he finally says, maybe I did mess things up in the valley. But you have to admit, if I hadn't done this, Hark would have taken over everything. Hark has a dragon. Hark has metal constructs that cannot die, could be mended and brought back to life. Hell, King Robert Hark never dies. How do you defeat those who cannot die? And she just says, Felipe Madamba, it's like you can't remember anything. She says, Grigley is going to send Robert Hark away on our notice, on our word. This war is about Gilbraini's getting rid of these Feyrunis. That's what this is about. As I'm sure you know now. They don't care about us. Even after generations, they still don't even see themselves as Gilbrainis, Monterans, even Adarans. They still have some hope for returning back to home, some home that doesn't even really exist as far as I can tell. A home they've never known. Go. That's what I say. Go. If they knew how, they would.
I'm curious, how do you know Grigley?
He's a merchant. Sells very expensive things. Every noble leader of these warring countries, they know Grigley. Grigley comes and sells what is needed. He's the purveyor of needful things.
But you say he's going to get involved.
Well, he'll give me the wand, which allows me to destroy Robert Hark.
Which wand is this?
The wand that destroys Robert Hark. I don't know. Is there a name for it? Grigley says he has it.
Interesting. And you believe him?
When the price is right, Grigley loves gold.
I must admit, you have it all figured out.
I do.
Is there anything you need from me?
Well, I've heard that you're causing a bit of a stir for my husband. What I would like for you to do is give him any aid that he might need to burn down or otherwise destroy Lakeshire.
But it seems you have the power to do that yourself.
I don't want a single one of my men to die doing anything in this valley. It is bad enough that Jebel runs off at the first sign of heroic opportunity. She was once a lady's maid. Look at her now. Pathetic.
She seems quite battle-hardened.
Yes, exactly. You get battle-hardened by taking risks. We take no risks. We just win.
You've lost me again. How can you... So you have no designs on Breentown whatsoever?
The wand is very expensive.
But how do you keep people from dying, if that is your goal?
Some things are worth dying for. Well, let me restate that. Some things are worth losing a few men for. But this ghost and her archers, they are a real problem for us. She's already killed 70 of my men.
70?
70! And I don't believe any of them have died from the archers that she brought with her. I believe the archers are there for show. I think she's doing it all. She's like Balthazar in that giant ice catapult.
Well, it's good to see you.
It's good to see you as well, nephew.
Might I ask for a place for us to rest?
You may rest here as long as you like. We do plan on leaving as soon as possible. She stops. She says, you don't mind risks, though.
What gives you that idea?
You've always been a risk taker. Always, since a little boy. It's what makes you a terrible monarch. But it makes you a very good something. Half-elf.
My lady?
What is it you come here for?
I am in the service of Ionus.
And how about the leper over there?
I safeguard this one's life.
What do you need Felipe Madama for?
Schnobik barely stops himself from saying nothing.
We came upon him, much to our surprise. And since we were coming to the Owlwood to seek you out, we thought we'd bring him back home.
I see. Well, news of your demise has been grossly overstated, Felipe. I did hear about your glorious attack on the dam at Water's End. That was impressive. I rather wish that there would have been more destruction of the Monteran army. But if any army will be powerful, I hope it would be your mother's. I still believe that we are going to go and set her free and put her back in charge of things. I believe she wants that to be your role as figurehead. I hesitate making this request of you.
Well, you've just hit on a common goal.
Yes.
To restore Monterre.
Yes.
I am still a little mystified by the tension between your army and the Breen army, considering the alliance with Eder and your affiliation with Eder. But
we need the gold, half-elf. They have the gold. They think it is theirs. It is my husband's, and that makes it mine.
And they do not see that way.
They do not see that way. They believe that they are fighting for their independence. They aim to follow some child from Lake and Hearth. I believe you know him. Florin Gershon. They have him as a rallying cry. For Florin! For Florin! It is infuriating. But at least we know how to strike their morale very hard. Someday. I'll tell you what I'll do for you. I don't want you to die. In fact, she says, when my husband is dead, assuming he does not give me a child, I will need a child. And my child needs to be noble. My child hopefully will have some connection to the other kingdoms on this island. I have a proposition for you, nephew.
Yes?
I need you to be a hero.
I clutch my pearls.
Schnobik just has his head in his hands. God.
I need you to be someone that the people talk about as a man of action. If you kill the ghost of the Breen Valley, you and your men, when this whole thing is over and my husband is dead, you and I will marry.
I try to hold it back.
You will give me a child, and we can raise him together. You will outlive me, I am sure. You are a young man. And you can be father of the king of Gilbrain.
I'm I am humbled.
That expression was priceless.
That's great.
May I turn our concerns to the more immediate for a moment?
Yes. Guard.
Again, my responsibility here is to this half-elf and his continued safety and prosperity. Were you to be supplied with the gold from Breentown, what would your next move be, assuming you no longer needed to capture the city?
I would send my messengers to parley with Griggly on the Red Cloud Mountain. We would buy the wand, and we would march to Robert's gift and kill Robert Hark.
And I assume terms of your deal with the Alwood soldiers are that they would remain here?
They would remain here. They would continue to protect our territory. I have a deal with them to provide a land grant from here to Breentown. They would have control of this entire area, and we aim to rebuild the Palace of Wood's End.
I look at Filnyr and I look at Ionus. Is that not the end which we wish?
Sure, it sure is.
Then very well, it seems our task is clear. We acquire the gold from Breentown, we deliver it to you, and you may depart in peace.
How will you deliver it to us?
Well, my lady, if I told you that, you would have no need of us.
I expect by cart, though, it will be quite heavy.
multiple carts. He has taken the entire treasury of Eder.
What is, Has Griggly informed you of the cost of this wand?
He has. The cost is quite high. About half of the Ederan coffers. Well over 600,000 gold.
That is quite a sum. And if I may, I do hope I am not overstepping. Once Hark is dealt with, you have no concerns over the wilds or any advancements from the south. No plans to deal with what may be there.
I do not believe the elves of the wilds care about what is happening here as long as they are left to their devices.
Did you not say earlier that they hadn't yet flooded the valley?
They have made offerings of trades with the kings of the north. They ask for all of our gold. They ask for all of our children who are under the age of 15. In exchange, they will not flood our valleys and destroy all of our kingdoms. That seems rather hollow to me.
Seems very unreasonable.
Very unreasonable.
I look at Filnyr and I ask, sounds like it would be pretty bad if that were to happen, though, don't you think? Sounds like a fate we would like to avoid, wouldn't you agree?
I do agree. Has anyone been sent to negotiate?
My husband sent someone. He would not let me know what happened. But when his emissary returned, that is when he took the coffers of our gold, built the stronghold deep underneath Breentown, and set off on this fool's errand of defeating all the other armies in the Breen.
Why would he bury gold where it might be flooded?
Your guess is as good as mine. We need to take that gold, give some to Griggly, and make our way back to our kingdoms.
Yes, you must have at least half of that gold.
And nephew, you are not the jealous type, are you?
Not in the least.
Why?
This is a wonderful idea, but I will not give up my lover, Grim Portnoy.
I
My husband could not stand the thought of another man being with me. I will not have that in a husband.
Who is Grim Portnoy? I
He's,
suppose it matters not.
he's a common laborer from Eder.
You claim to know him.
Some well-hung rogue.
it matters not. You know, I have a headache.
Might I ask for one more boon?
Yes, Leper, but here's my question. You sound dreadfully familiar to me.
It's my result of my culture and education, lady, I'm sure. Jabel has been causing you no end of grief, I'm sure.
It is true, although, for whatever reason, the men in my retinue respect her as a general. And so I give her a very long leash, but I need to shorten it quickly.
Might you shorten it by giving her leave to go with us?
Well,
You can inform the men that she is on a mission of vast importance, should not harm their morale, and she will cause no further incidents of violence on the front until you are ready.
and the ghost?
Is she the one keeping the ghost in check? I rather think it is your line of ballistas and trenches.
The ghost only seemed to appear when the chance of Jabel's approach rose from your forces.
I guess.
And frankly, she did not do much to check the ghost's advance.
I don't worry myself with such things. Jabel is still alive, yes?
Yes.
Well, you may ask her if
Thanks
she
to the
go.
heroic actions of Felipe Madamba.
She looks down at Felipe. Yes, he has quite a reputation for heroics, doesn't he?
Yes. Shall we endeavor to get all of these heroes out of your hair?
That actually doesn't sound like a terrible idea. What say you, Ionus? My rightful gold in exchange for... And she steps back and she stands up from her rugs and she puts her arms up in the air and she turns around and she is beautiful. She's probably only 19 or 20 years older than you.
Mm-hmm.
And she has the look of a noble woman who's also never had a child. and she says, I think this might work out quite well, and I think your mother would be in support of it. And by the way, when you speak to her next, I think you should tell her that we have had this accord and that this is happening. Assuming you can bring in your end of the bargain. 1.2 million gold pieces, or their equivalent in weight, in exchange for my hand in marriage.
Ionus, I pardon me for interrupting, but we have no accounting of the wealth contained in those chests if the Breentown humans have absconded with any. I do not want it resting on our shoulders if it is not a full accounting.
My
Your
husband's
numbers.
wizard would have done something to keep it hidden. I don't know what, but I am quite sure they only know that it exists, and that I'm coming for it. My wizard says she has a way of discovering where things are.
Why don't we leave it at this? We will do our own research to find out if this is indeed true. And then you and I will speak of this.
Very well. I would ask that you, when you leave here, you do not go back to the front. There's a road to the south. It will take you. It is a long and winding road, but it will take you to Greentown eventually. And for travelers such as yourselves, 5 if you bring Jabel, you probably will go unmolested on your travels. And if you are, I'm sure you have it within your ability to deal with those things.
Thank you. Might we take our leave?
Well, of course you may. She calls out. She says, Rick. Rick. It's spelled with an F and a Y, by the way. Rick is. Rick. Show them to Jabel's tent and bring in some extra cots. I believe they want to sleep it off before they head out. Okay, my lady. I will do it. And Rick shows you to a much smaller tent where Jabel has now doffed her armor and she is tending wounds. And you can tell she is scarred up all over the place. She has been in a lot of fights.
Well, and while we're heading over there, so Rick is with us.
Rick's is with you.
Yeah, Ranger Rick is with us.
Rick's with you.
Is he taking? Okay.
Why is there something you want to do?
No, I say, Ionus, we really need to devise some way to speak in private when we're in the presence of others. You misplayed that terribly, but it is not beyond repair. We must speak at our earliest opportunity.
My mouth is sealed shut.
Thinnest line.
Thinnest line across my mouth as I'm looking straight forward, storming to wherever we're going.
Ionus, you appear to be turning red. Are you
Well, what are we going to do?
Who's that?
Felipe.
Oh.
We have much to discuss.
It seems. Are we in private?
Are we
now?
alone?
Yeah.
Jabel's in there tending
Right.
her wounds.
Right.
Okay.
I say, Jabel.
Are your arms well enough to plug your ears?
That was some amazing fighting you did out there.
Not really.
Would that I could have seen it from the trenches.
She is so fast. And once you're in the storm, she moves herself, but also those that she fights. It is very unsettling, and I believe I feel her in my head before I swap places or
That's
something
wonderful.
with her.
You don't mind if I do some light reading aloud in the corner, do you?
No.
I start casting Rary's telepathic.
Okay.
All
All right. She continues to patch herself up.
And while she's doing that, I say, Jabel, and I take off my mask. We're all alone.
She's like, oh my goodness. You've gone through some kind of. I mean, you're very handsome.
Yes, I'm a man now. I wish to ask you a question that may seem awkward, but I hope that our long-standing acquaintance will allow you to answer it
In
honestly.
your head you shall hear voices and
What do you think of my aunt's quest to acquire this treasury, dispense with her lord, kill the Lord of Hark?
It's a fool's errand, but she is a great woman.
I'm glad you see that. It is a fool's errand. I believe we disagree on her greatness. I found her foolish, vain, and greedy. Foolish most of all, though. Those who deal with Griggly are seldom satisfied.
I've never met the man myself, but he's very popular in Eder.
I'm not surprised. But this will come to no good end. If there were a way to have your lady retreat from this position and return to Eder without destroying Breentown, would you take it?
Definitely.
Very good. Then you have been given dispensation by your lady to join us on a mission to Breentown to accomplish just that.
Okay, but what of my troops?
They must remain here to keep the Breentown army in check and keep their eyes focused this direction.
It is almost the entirety of the militia of Breen who's here. If you aim to go and burn the town down, I will not have a part of it.
Oh, no, we... To get your mistress to retreat, she must either receive the gold from the treasury of Breentown, or she must be convinced that it is destroyed. I believe either of those may be accomplished without burning the entirety of Breentown to the ground.
She looks over at you, Ionus, and she says, within your new studies, have you found a way of creating false memories for people?
I believe I have. It may take a while to sort it out.
Whatever I do that is against Lady Goliat, you must promise me you will take away those memories, so when she asks me what I have done, I can tell her honestly, according to what is in my mind. It is a very common magic in Monterre, and if you are worth your salt as a wizard, which that is your reputation.
Are you saying you often manipulate memories in Monterre?
I'm saying this is a common skill for the wizards that are trained in Monterre.
Might I touch your head real fast? And I touch hers and Filnyr's and Schnobik's and Felipe's, and
Okay.
we can begin speaking in our brains.
Oh,
I didn't want Jebel.
yeah, I thought we didn't want to talk with her.
Well, but now I can cast it again. But now she's like starting to say things that are. I don't want anybody outside the tent to even hear what she's saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. We have. It's also a tent. Which
Yeah.
means it's not
Which-
soundproof.
It's
Very
not
well.
soundproof.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You know, if so now I'm talking in my mind. I suppose if we're taking away her memories anyway, no sense in not speaking plainly. I don't know that any of this would be more incriminating than what we've already said, but frankly, all you need is for Lady Goliat to withdraw. Felipe gets his owlwood. Breentown is free to join whoever they might wish. The King of Eder is deprived of a treasury. Everyone wins.
I'm so happy to hear you say that. That woman is nuts.
Yes, that is succinct.
I'm gonna look at Jebel and see what her reaction to that woman is nuts comment is, because Filnyr's not 100% certain that we should all be having a conversation.
Give an insight check. Give me an insight check.
I'm going to take one too.
Yeah.
13.
Okay.
21.
All right. She is. Look, she's been in the field with her for a year.
And she's been her handmaiden or whatever.
For
lady
much
servant
longer. For much longer than that. She's only seen the scheming side of her for about a year. She is still not sure what to make of all of this.
Brother, I believe your assessment is a bit harsh. She is a great woman who has become possessed of a foolish idea and must be saved from herself.
Yes, I think you are overstating, Ionis.
Perhaps I'm her nephew. She wants to get married.
Well,
That was a
her husband believes
a bit
her husband
strange.
believes that she has actually been possessed by actual power, and I'm not convinced that she hasn't been.
Her husband, the edgelord.
Yes. Yes.
Putting semen on the Western Shore.
Yes, Sam.
That's it.
Damn it.
That's a callback right there.
That's it. Yes, I believe perhaps yes.
Interesting.
She just doesn't seem like herself. Really, she started saying awful things about her husband in my presence right around the Battle of the Bands.
Tell me what you know of this Grim Portnoy, and be as specific as possible.
He walks around here like he owns the damn place. He came here with his 2 friends who also call themselves Grim. It's very weird. He actually doesn't even sleep in the tent with her. He has a tent where the 3 of them sleep together. He seems to enjoy the company of wild animals way more than a man ought to. And I'm around druids all day long.
No one can possibly enjoy wild animals as much as they do.
True.
They're so horny for wild animals, it's ridiculous. Did Stormfeather start calling himself Grim Portnoy?
They must have picked another one up or something.
Yeah, I mean, Stormfeather, but who is that?
Possibly Grim Portnoy. I don't know that name.
Yeah.
Guess none of us would know that.
Yeah.
But we would know that.
Yeah.
Well, you seem to be distressed. You seem to be hurt, tired. Perhaps we should all turn in for the night. Yes?
Yes, I have a lot to think about. This is not some ploy to kill my lady, is it?
No.
She doesn't deserve that. She deserves a chance to be free.
But why would I kill my aunt?
This one had a chance to kill his uncle and had much more reason and didn't even do that.
His uncle? Harold?
Yes, King
Harold
Eder.
Two Hands, seaman of the Western Shore.
Is it true that he's been eating on the flesh of young children?
What?
Is it true that for his meals he also rips the heads off of chicken and drinks the blood?
I've seen nothing of the like.
And we have seen him eat a meal.
One meal. Where did you hear such things?
Goliat's wizard, of course.
Who is this wizard? She mentioned her in passing, said she could find things, but...
Well, you were right next to her when you were in the camp. She walked with you. She brought you to me.
She did.
Rick?
No.
No.
No, before we met Lady Goliat.
Who is Rick?
The man who brought us to your tent is the... I heard he spells it with an F and a P. Or a Y, or something. I don't remember. It didn't make any sense.
Savastra is the one who brought you to me. Savastra walked you right into my tent.
Savastra.
Lady Goliat's wizard.
Oh, thank God. I thought we were going to have to go to Breentown and steal a treasury and plan a deception. Luckily, it turns out all we'll have to do is kill a wizard, and I'm very good at that.
Savastra is... Well, she is good to all people.
Does Savastra ever disguise herself?
No. Why would she do that? She's the most beautiful woman in the world.
That is not always something you want to present.
She's also very funny. She's an amazing cook.
How long have you known Savastra?
My whole life, I've never not known Savastra.
Oh, Ionus, this camp is proper fucked.
I'm going to shit.
Not in here, please. You must use the ditch.
I'm going to. I don't know what this is going to do to my friend.
Oh, just identify something.
Well, I don't want to identify. I want to do a dispel magic on Filnyr to see if her visage, she's tricked us, obviously, or something. But I don't want to like kill any of magical things that you have. I'm just gonna fuck.
It doesn't destroy magic items.
And I guess you don't have any like magic up on you.
No.
All right, I'm just gonna
I mean, I'll put Armor of Agathis on if you want.
I'm gonna just hit Filnyr with the dispel magic.
Okay, tell me what you're doing. Why? What's going to happen with Filnyr? So he's going to lose Rary's telepathic bond.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
He's going to lose. What else?
If there's any effect, a mental effect, anything that's on him,
Okay.
anything that's affecting him.
So you think I'm under an effect?
I think we all are. I want to see if you have a reaction.
Okay.
Got it.
This is very smart.
Are you gonna give him? Are you giving him a heads up though?
I'm gonna look at him and I'm gonna say, I need you to trust me.
I trust you.
And you've seen me do it many times.
Right.
And I start doing the motions of dispel magic on Filnyr.
I don't believe it either.
Yeah, I like this, and I need to think about something 1 second. This is very smart. I'm going to reward you.
Okay.
Okay.
Inspiration.
Double inspiration.
I'm going to reward you.
You can't
I'm
get
gonna,
double
no,
inspiration.
I'm going to reward you
Because he
with
already
something.
has one.
Yeah.
Right.
So, Filnyr,
Yeah.
here's what happens. So you're in this tent, and Ionus begins to cast at you, and he hits you, and you suddenly can't hear him in your brain anymore, and you have a moment where it looks like you're in a very well-built cabin with
Not a tent.
not a tent with everything is in the same place as where it was. So there's like she has like a place where she would sit and like put her armor on. It's like what you look at when you walk in. It's a tent, and it's like basically two sawhorses with a board on top of it. And for a moment, it looks like a very expensive antique Faeruni desk, and the bed looks like a feather, thing. And it's right where her cot is. And then you have this moment where you see this, and then it's back to the tent. It's like very, very short.
Filnyr? Can he hear? He still can't hear me. in the brain,
Telepathic
right?
bond's gone.
It's gone from
Because
you.
you dispelled it.
Yeah.
And I'll just say it out loud. Filnyr, did anything happen just now?
Yes.
I ran a dispel magic on you. Tell me what happened.
I'm not sure it's safe to explain what happened.
I'm going to turn to Jabel, and I'm going to do the same thing
Okay.
on her.
And
When you start to go through the motion of Ionus, this may be bigger. Continue, but
all right.
If anyone's listening in, they already know something's up. Just spit it out.
I'm just going to do it on her.
All right. Roll an intelligence check. I'm going to do the high one first.
Okay.
It is a DC 17.
DC 17. Yikes.
yeah, you see Filnyr kind of sweating a little bit, like suddenly like uncomfortable.
Yeah. All right. Luck point. 17.
Okay.
Ooh.
Roll again.
All right, hang on.
This is a DC 14.
DC 14. Shit. 10. One more luck
You gonna
point.
use that last?
Yeah,
luck
last
point?
one. 24.
Oh. she looks around and she suddenly, she's really freaking out. And she says, "Ugh, I can hardly lift my arms. Oh my God, these bruises are everywhere." She looks just, "Oh my, why am I in this tent? What is that? What did you do to me?"
Jabel, the lady's maid, I presume.
"Well, yes, of course."
What is the last thing you remember? Do you remember meeting us?
"Of course I remember meeting you, and why did I run into the battlefield? Why did I do that?"
Oops.
And she reaches over and she like sees this, like her armor, and she says, I and she tries to pick it up. She says, "I can't even lift this armor. I was wearing this. I put it on every morning since we left Eder. This is not where we've been. We were in the chalets. Lady Eder, she said we were being welcomed with open arms into the Breen Valley, and that they had built a small village for us to weather the storm before. Where are we?" She looks out. She says, "It's similar. What is happening?" She looks over and she sees Rix. And
Rix is still here?
Rix is outside the tent.
Uh-oh.
Rick?
Yeah, Rick. Sorry, Rick.
With an F and a Y.
Yeah, with an F and a Y. "Who are you?" And you see Rick. Eyes go super wide. And he says, "Oh, shit." And that's where we'll end.
Oh, goddamn.
Episode 68 of Everyone Must End, the
Wow.
Dungeon Dad podcast.
Bamboozled. Son of a
Bamboozled!
bitch. What is happening?
That was a good move, John.
That was really good.
And then immediately it was like, I don't want to say it out loud.
Yeah. Well, it's hard because so you were under some effects, but they weren't really on you.
Right.
Yeah,
Area
yeah.
effects.
Yeah. And so I was like, oh, but like, it was, I didn't think you were going to do this. and I didn't want to like not reward you for that. It's fast
Thanks.
thinking.
I appreciate it.
And so, yeah, there's like some serious illusion that's going on here that has transformed things for people.
Yeah. I think we've put that much together.
Yeah.
Well, we can talk about it more in the bonus, but
Yeah.
I also think it's funny that Schnobik just has no problem believing the worst about anybody.
Of anybody.
Anybody.
So he's like, yeah, this is all normal.
Yeah, this all checks out. This all checks out.
Wow.
She's acting
much-
just like any other noble human would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
much I want to talk about.
Yes.
Let's do a bonus.
time.
All right, let's do it right now.
bonus.
All right.
Jump onto Patreon. This we're in some like mind-blowing levels of stuff.
Hot,
Tom
baby.
came to Texas prepared.
Yes.
Yeah, I came full of bullets.
And I will say, these past few, like the bonuses are starting to turn into some essential listening.
I think so too.
Yes.
This is going to be a good one too.
It's a lot of meta play, but we're parsing out, we're doing our theory crafting.
Yeah.
We're doing
Yeah.
So
Listen,
if you
for
want to hear
$3,
some of that, yeah.
For $3, you get a whole bunch. We might have to
Yeah.
raise the price just because it's so good.
No, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. Capitalist.
Just saying.
Boo.
Hey man, it's $3 and they get hundreds of
That's
hours.
true.
Yes.
They do
And
get hundreds
listen,
of
all
hours.
of the backlog.
That's true.
And unlike Netflix, I mean, I hesitate to say this out loud, but we kind of don't even care if you password.
God damn it, Sam.
Sam.
I'm not a capitalist.
That's
but
getting
fuck
cut.
you,
Listen,
man.
We
That's
bring
just
them
gonna
in.
have a big bleep right over. We don't even care.
We
If
bring them in. They like us so much. They want to support us.
set it and forget it.
But you know what? If you,
I gotta get. You know what? There's a couple of things in here where I really want Anthony Greenstein to listen in. There's a couple of people out
We
there.
got some fans
Matt
we'd
Smith.
love to.
Yes.
But,
Like I'm. Yeah.
listen, you can always put it up.
Yeah.
You can always turn it off.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's true.
Yep.
Just jump
That's
in
true.
when you can.
Yep.
All right,
right.
everybody.
Toodaloo.
Toodaloo.
Toodaloo.